In this video, we're going to be covering the topic of finding your breath, and this mainly includes the importance of proper breathing. We're going to cover what is pranayama, parts of the breath, nasal versus mouth breathing, diaphragmatic breath, and the full yogic breath. And at the end, there'll be a portion that will discuss how to find your own breath and make sure you're breathing properly and efficiently for the practice of meditation. So in the book, this section is just past the postures for meditation. And we begin with the importance of proper breathing. Proper controlled breathing is a crucial part of your meditation practice, being that most people spend a long portion of the day not paying attention to their breath or how they are breathing. So knowing how to utilize the breath when you sit down to meditate, and in turn, any time of the day, once you learn how to utilize this kind of breathing, it will benefit you and your practice very greatly. Focused and controlled breathing through the nose and into the abdomen is your most accessible and effective tool to bring yourself into a parasympathetic recovery state. So that's activating the parasympathetic portion of your nervous system, which is that calm, rest and digest feeling inside. This state will facilitate the calm feeling you want to associate with the meditation practice and reduce the activities in the regions of the brain that keep you in a fight or flight mode, which is super common when we breathe shallowly into the chest. A shallow and erratic breath tends to trigger your sympathetic nervous system. Overall, putting yourself in this parasympathetic recovery state will help with reducing stress, enhancing energy levels, and facilitate an all-around improvement in well-being. Next, we'll cover what is pranayama. So pranayama is the conscious act of controlling your breath. The root word prana, meaning vital life force, which in this practice relates to the breath, and ayama, meaning to extend or draw out. Pranayama, when it relates to yoga, is one of the 8 limbs of Patanjali and is a very important part of your practice and definitely of your meditation practice, especially in getting you to a calm and relaxed state for when you want to sit down and practice meditation. So parts of the breath, there are 3 parts of the breath that are under your control and can be used to enhance your practice. Those being paraka, which is the inhalation, rachaka, which is your exhalation, and kumbhaka, which is retention. Retention either on the inhale or on the exhale. Next, we'll move on to the diaphragmatic breath. So the most fundamental form of pranayama that we just described is diaphragmatic breathing, which is also called belly breathing or abdominal breathing. This is the main kind of breath you want to cultivate in your meditation practice and essentially learn to, over time, create and maintain this as a baseline breath that lasts throughout your day and for any extended periods of times that you're sitting in meditation. Not only does diaphragmatic breathing stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system, but it enhances the transfer of oxygen from lungs to the blood when paired with nasal breathing. Because the bottom section of your lungs, it's a much larger than the top portion of your lungs, so breathing into the diaphragm allows a greater transfer of oxygen into the blood compared to when you breathe shallowly into the chest. Moving on to nasal versus mouth breathing. Nasal breathing is the most efficient way to control the breath. Breathing through the nose has a greater resistance than breathing through the mouth. It has a greater natural throttle to it on the intake and on the outtake of air compared to when you breathe through the mouth, which you often have less control over, and therefore you can't slow your breath down as much. So in turn, breathing through the nose makes it easier to control your rate of breath, and slowing down your breath rate consequently increases the size of each breath and can significantly improve your heart rate variability. It is also said that there is a direct connection between the rate of your breath and your longevity. Also improves heart rate variability. It is one indicator that your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system branches are in balance. So you're not too much in the fight or flight or too much in the rest and digest. You're very evenly balanced. Mouth breathing is just not as efficient in controlling the breath rate, and compared to nasal breathing, it comes with less capacity because it de-emphasizes the diaphragm, which is your main muscle in drawing air in and out of the body. Also, breathing through the mouth, personally for me, it makes your mouth really dry, and it's highly annoying, especially if you're trying to meditate. Moving on to the full yogic breath. A full yogic breath consists of utilizing the entire capacity of the lungs, not just a small portion in the upper chest region as can be common. The method here is to begin with a smooth inhalation into the bottom of the abdomen, then expand up into the rib cage, and then finally up into the chest and into the collarbones. On the exhalation, you empty out beginning with the upper chest, you let it fall, then you move to the rib cage, allowing it to draw inward, and then to the abdomen and end with pulling the navel towards the spine. And this type of breathing shares the exact same benefits as diaphragmatic breathing, but it also greatly increases your lung capacity. Next, we'll move into a small demonstration on how to find your breath. So I'm going to do this demonstration from the side view just so you can see where I'm breathing into, and you'll notice my body expand slightly in each area as I move through the process. So we start by placing the left hand on the abdomen and then the right hand on your upper chest. And then from here, we simply exhale completely. And then we inhale through the nose, breathing into the left hand that's on the abdomen. So it expands, and then we move that breath up in between both hands into the rib cage. And you'll feel it expand right here, expanding outward through the ribs and slightly into the back and slightly forward. And then lastly, into the hand, the right hand up in the upper chest. And it'll lift. You'll also feel a lift into the collarbones. And then once we're completely full and we're going to move to the exhale, we exhale out beginning from the chest. So the right hand falls into the ribs. You'll feel the ribs draw in. And then finally into the abdomen, pulling the navel towards the spine, and your left hand will draw in towards the belly. And this is essentially how you find your full yogic breath. The same thing goes for the diaphragmatic breath, except you just breathe directly into the left hand. And this is a very hands-on way to find your breath, and I find it very simple for people who maybe have never tried anything like this before. And trust me, try it out. You'll completely understand this after only a minute or so, and you'll be breathing perfectly and ready to start your meditation practice.